Okay, guys. So, talk about hustle culture for a second, or this sort of like whatever you want to call it, but essentially people really trying to just like delay all gratification just to like get the bag or earn money, get rich and famous, whatever the thing is, whatever the pursuit is, build a business, whatever it is. Like, and delayed gratification generally is a good thing. Like that shows like some self control, right? But if you delay or whatever, however you want to talk about it, if you basically put off all kinds of enjoying life indefinitely, like, where does that end? So I'll say it this way. What happens if you hustle all your life and die before getting any of the benefits of it? I'll say it like that, something like that. So like, what if you like work hard all your life, and it's good to work hard, right? Is that fair? So, but what if you work hard all your life and focus only on working hard and not on enjoying life in other ways or making the most of life in other ways, and you only work? And then you think, oh, well, I'm working for my retirement. I'm working to save up for my retirement. I'm like foregoing other things, or I'm putting off other things to save for my retirement. And then I'll enjoy my life, or then I'll enjoy things. And it's not that life needs to, like, I think it's probably fair to say that life should not just all be about like doing things that you like or whatever, because then it could maybe become like a selfish sort of pleasure-focused life that could become not good. Fair enough. And so it's not that life should be like completely just, pursuing just things that you like to do. Like there might be things that are good to do that you ought to do, that are difficult, challenging, and maybe things that you don't want to do, but is the right thing to do, right? Fair enough. So basically what happens if like you try to work for a retirement, saving for retirement, all these things, you never really do anything you enjoy. Maybe you neglect family, maybe you neglect other things that are very important and valuable. And you think, oh, well, I'll do better, I'll prioritize it more once I retire and I have the time. But then what if you die before you retire? What if you make it like a year into retirement and then you die? Let's get real about how fragile life can be and how much things may not always go to plan. Like, just get real for a second. And maybe your timeline will work out, and maybe you will work hard and retire and get several decades where you get to just focus on other things. But that might not be everybody's story, and so we need to be careful maybe with our thinking, of thinking that life will go as we plan it, because how often is that not the case? And so it's kind of like, it's not that you should like put off working and only do things that you enjoy, or that please you, or whatever way you want to say it that makes sense. It's not that you should like reverse whatever the opposite of delayed gratification is. It's not that you should only do what you like to do now and nothing else, and not work hard at all. It's like, let's talk about balance here. And people, balance seems to be a topic that the hustle culture does not like, because more balance in your life means less working, probably, usually. And they're usually like full tilt all the time, or at least probably a portion of the time. Or maybe some of them do relax more. Hopefully, that would probably be the healthy thing. And then when you talk about what's healthy or what's balanced, maybe they get a little bit annoyed or something, or say that they don't care about balance or whatever. Or maybe they're one of the people where they're very fortunate, and the work that they do they also really enjoy doing, so they kind of get to do both at the same time. But at the same time, there's other things in life that are probably going to be separate from your work that you should pay attention to, like your family, like your spiritual life. Now again, what if your work and your spiritual life are kind of intertwined? Like if you work in missions, or if you're a pastor, or you have some sort of job in the local church body, you know what I mean? So maybe there's different nuanced examples, but generally speaking, for the average person, your work life is probably different than your family life, and you should not neglect your family just to pursue your work life. But you should not neglect your work life just to do other things either, right? Because then are you being responsible in your life and doing what you're supposed to do, especially if you're a father, a provider, trying to provide for your family, trying to be a good man, doing whatever it is that God has called you to do in life. right? So, but balance, because like, let's get away from like just the hustle culture living, and let's talk about biblical living, which I'm not an expert on, okay? So don't take this as like some authoritative teaching or anything, just hopefully just take this as food for thought. But like, let's talk, what is the biblical living, right? My hunch would be that it's probably going to involve balance, at least generally. Maybe there might be seasons of life where things maybe are a little bit less balanced. At the end of the day, it's doing whatever God has called you to do. Because if you have like 4 young kids and you're just trying to raise your family, that might be a time where your life does not feel very balanced. You might be stressed to the nines, just burnt out, not sleeping enough, etc., etc. But maybe God has called you to do that right now. But is that what you're always going to be called to do? I ultimately can't answer that question, because you gotta seek God, right? And find out what you're supposed to be doing, as we all should seek God, right? And so essentially it might be possible that there might be times in your life where you're going to have this kind of overwhelming stuff, but then maybe there's other times where it's a bit more chill, right? Is that fair? And so, with that said, where am I going here? Where am I going with this? The balanced life is not something that really the hustle culture people or the motivational people might like to talk about. But at the end of the day, where does it all lead you? Where does it all end? How many people, maybe this isn't the case for the hustle culture influencers, because maybe they're either being dishonest or they just really like the hustle to such a degree where maybe somehow they don't get burnt out, or they've made enough money where they can like work really hard and then relax really substantially whenever they want, so maybe they could avoid burnout this way. Man, that cruise control is really giving it right now. Hopefully it's not too loud, but anyway, moving on. Like, maybe some people, they really like the grind, you know, but for other people, like probably for your average person that watches the hustle culture gurus and the business bros and all these people online, is it fair to say that many people probably start doing this and they get really into it? They lock in, right? They lock in. But then how many of them do this and they do it for an extended period of time and then they just get burnt out, like maybe hardcore burnt out? Because this is kind of what I've went through over the last, it's probably more than a half a year now. I think coming up around maybe June at some point, it'll be probably roughly a year of where I've kind of just felt burnt out. Like, it was pretty bad in like somewhere in the summertime, I think, maybe like August or September or something like that, where like I became so burnt out where just the idea of going to my computer downstairs and transferring video files off of the SD card felt like an effort. Like I don't even think I wanted to do that, and that's like barely anything. You know what I mean? So like, is it possible that you could just get so burnt out from revving so high for so long? Like, you know, in a car when the RPMs redlines, and as far as I understand, it is not good to redline a car for very long. Or I assume you're going to have increased risk to the car the longer you do that. So if you're redlining your life for an extended period of time, what does that do to you, right, from a health perspective? Because a lot of these people online might kind of make it seem like humans are invincible or infinitely adaptable, like that you'll adapt to whatever your body throws at it. And I find sometimes some of this motivational stuff just kind of annoys me because it's not actually true. Like, it's not completely real and true. Like, it's just not. Like, so for example, like there's this one quote that you might see from this one movie or TV show. It's in some of these motivational videos on YouTube, where it's the guy that played Oppenheimer, whatever that actor's name is. He was in some other thing, and he's wearing like this golfer hat or something like that, and he says, "I have no limitations." I think he says that, something like that. And it's like, okay, maybe generally we understand what he's trying to say, but it kind of bothers me when people just say these statements like that. It's like, that's not true. If you're a 5-foot man, your limitation is that like you cannot become 7 feet tall out of sheer willpower. Like, if you're done growing and you're 5'6", you're not going to become 7 feet tall. I know I might seem unreasonable in what I'm saying here because I'm kind of nitpicking, but it's just like people just say these things and they kind of say it like it's such a blanket statement, and maybe there's more practical examples where you could be like, okay, this is obviously not true, that we have no limitations. We obviously have limitations as human beings. A certain amount of time without food or water and you die. You know, like a certain amount of time without oxygen and you die. Like we are not infinite. We are not limitless in our ability. Like it's just not true. So then working within this obvious reality that we have here of human limitation, that is real. Like I'm not going to lie to you. Like we have limits. Like there are limits. Now we might not know fully what our limits are, and maybe in some cases pushing our limits may result in death. It's like, oh, that was weird with the cruise control there. Anyway, what is happening? Okay, anyway, moving on. So we do have limits, right? And so how does this relate to balance in one's life? Well, if you redline for a long time, like I went on probably like a year and a half stint roughly of probably like just trying to like, maybe you could call it locking in. I'm not going to say I was perfect. I was not perfectly productive. I was not locked in 100% of the time probably. There's probably like a lot of slacking intermittently. Like I'm not going to make it seem like I had some perfect year and a half of hustling. Like that's probably just not the case. But the hustle probably increased considerably. Not that I was working every day or all the time at my side hustle after work or whatever, but there was a year and a half, something like that, where on average during the work week, I was not sleeping a healthy amount. Like I was probably sleeping somewhere between 4.5 to 5.5 hours, probably averaging somewhere around 5 hours a night during the work week, and then I would crash on the weekend, usually on Saturday, sleeping pretty hard. And I did that probably for the most part for about a year and a half. There's been other times in the past where I've done it as well, but I think that those may have been different like seasons, like not all at the same time. And I could be getting my timeline wrong here, so I might be wrong about some of my personal history telling right now. But anyway, moving on. At least like the more recent season of going for that year and a half of trying to like basically grind really hard, lock in, whatever you want to call it. Not that it was perfect, but anyway. It's probably far from perfect. But I probably redlined fairly often for a while doing this. And so maybe what I've experienced now, and maybe, and to some degree I'm probably still experiencing now, is that I kind of burnt out, or I burnt myself out to whatever degree. And where you might just be able to feel it, like just in your energy levels, you might just not want to do anything, or not do anything after you get home from work. You just kind of want to you're just like, you eat some food and you're like, oh, you're just kind of like, you're just not feeling it. And it might be consistent. Like for me nowadays, like get home from work, eat some food, and like the fatigue just hits probably around like within 30 minutes or maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Is that a bald eagle? Anyway, so the fatigue sets in, you know what I mean? And just like tired. You know, and so is it the training program? Is it the diet? Is it just life? Is it something else? Is it a mix of things? I'm no expert. But regardless, if you've followed the hustle culture vibes and you've burnt yourself out, hopefully I understand to some degree. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I saw some on YouTube, and I think the video was titled something like The Satisfying End of Hustle Culture or something like that. And this guy was talking about, I think, different kind of YouTube or internet or social media gurus when it comes to like the business hustle culture type teaching